Shalom, everybody. Rabbi Edelstein here with this week's installment of Rabbi E in 3, brought to you, as always, by MEOR DC. Go to our Facebook page, MEOR DC, see all of our programs that are upcoming. A Sunday brunch this Sunday morning, February 2nd. Next Tuesday, the first full session of the Maimonides Fellowship. Men and women, there's still time to sign up for the Maimonides Fellowship. 10 weeks of discussions, guest speakers, inspiration, and a $250 stipend. But let me ask you a question now. Do you remember the day of your birth? The day, the moment, the minute you were delivered from your mother's womb into this beautiful and vast physical world? Probably not. I don't think anybody does. Maybe hypnosis, maybe different ways to elicit such a memory, but I don't have any memory of anything. I remember what I ate for lunch last week. Actually, that I could probably remember. No, we don't. It would be amazing if we could, if a human being were able to, from day one, every day after that, look back to day one, remember day one, draw inspiration and joy and thankfulness from reliving the events of day one. Wouldn't that be amazing? Now, parents, when children are born, I remember the day of birth. I don't know if all four of my beautiful children, thank God, my wife I'm sure does, but I remember to some extent. What does it have to do with anything? Well, it has to do with things in my life this week, but also the Torah portion. Third portion in the book of Exodus, Shemos, Bo. It's the Exodus from Egypt, the culmination in this week's Torah portion. The final three plagues. Pharaoh hastens the Jewish people out of Egypt, followed by God giving us many laws having to do with always remembering and commemorating, and if you will, spiritually reliving the day of our birth as a nation. We were born as a nation. And in fact, it's so interesting, the word delivery, right? God delivered us from the slavery in Egypt. We were redeemed. Same word when a doctor delivers the baby from a mother's womb. And their labor pains, and there's a whole process, and it's difficult. It can be, and that was the story of our delivery from Egypt. But God gives us, the point I want to make is that the Torah gives us so many commandments. Really, all the commandments, in a sense, have the overall purpose of connecting us back to that joyous day of our birth as a nation. That we should be thankful to God for having created us, for having brought us into this world and out of slavery, nationally speaking, to have an incredible role to play in the families of mankind, to be a light unto the nations, to exemplify a life of thankfulness. That's what the word Jewish means, Yehudi, from the word lehodot, to give thanks. So we have many, many commandments. Ramban Nachmanides says, in a sense, all of the commandments essentially are to help us express our thanks to God. And certain commandments very specifically, obviously Passover and the mezuzah and the tefillin people wear, all a memorial of the wonders that Hashem did on our day of birth, in the birth process. This week, my daughter, my wife and I, our oldest child, Sarah, gave birth to a baby boy. And our son-in-law, Yaakov and Sarah Rosen. My first grandchild, I'm a Zaidi, Rabbi E. Zaidi in 3. I'm going to always remember that day, 2nd of Shvat, January 28th. And I'll try to do it even more conscientiously than I did with my own 4 beautiful children. I have another chance as a grandpa to do it, but to remember that day, we as a Jewish people, tying everything back to the miraculous day of our delivery from Egypt. Good Shabbos.